today is a collection of the stories we've told ourselves. Hello everyone, I'm Shin, and I'm here today to tell you a story about a little girl. So, let's take it back to 1993 Calcutta, where there was this little girl. She was 2 years old, and this girl was born with swag, okay? Like, she was oh so boisterous. Now, both her parents were working, so they would often leave her home alone with her trusted nanny. Now, one day, her parents came home from work, and they found this little girl quiet and hiding. And the nanny said that she's been scared all day and she hasn't said a single word. So naturally, the parents were worried, and they tried to get the little girl to speak, but she wouldn't. Now, after a week of coaxing and laughing and playing, they finally got this little girl to talk, but when she did, she had a new learned stutter. Now, jump cut 25 years later, and that girl is standing in front of you right here, right now. So probably some of you are thinking, oh my God, Shin, well tell us, how did you overcome your stutter? Well, even if you aren't, I'm going to tell you anyways. Now, before I do, I have to explain how stutters work. So there are two types of stutters, all right? A neurogenic stutter and a psychogenic stutter. Now, a neurogenic stutter is the kind where your brain waves aren't sending properly to the speech center of your brain. And a psychogenic stutter is the kind that's caused due to fear. Well, I had the latter. Now, fear can manifest itself in different ways, right? You can have social phobias, you can have fear of nature, fear of animals. Well, I had the kind of fear that would creep up when I was talking to people of authority, or I had multiple sets of eyes on me. I was crippled by fear. Whenever I stuttered, I could see the person in front of me lose focus, grow impatient, maybe even judge my intelligence. And that made my internal dialogue go berserk, right? I'm out there thinking, oh my God, hurry up! Spit it out, girl! You're making us look bad. Now imagine trying to speak when your internal voice is yelling at you. And that's when it clicked. The person in my head, yeah, she didn't have a stutter. Now, I knew that was the OG crew, right? That's the girl from day one. She's the girl with the swag. And you can ask my parents, my friends, my partner, they will all tell you that I am the girl who is always down to clown. How do I have so much confidence when I'm with the people I love, but then when I'm with strangers, I have this new learned stutter? How do I unlearn it? Well, I had to unlearn all the stories I had told myself up until that day. So here's how I did it. Step 1, ripping out the weeds. It's all black, but we're going to go back. Now we're good. All right, we're going to go without sans this. Let's go backwards. Okay, so ripping out the weeds. Now, this is going to sound familiar, but with weeds, you can't just mow over them, right? Because they're going to come right back, those pesky little buggers. You've got to pull them out from the roots. Fascinating. Almost like you've heard that before. So similarly with me, I had to go deep within myself, and I had to find those weeds. I had to question my assumptions and doubt my convictions. Now, I started that by following the fear. I knew the fear crept up in those social situations, so I asked myself, okay, Shin, why are you scared? I don't know, man. I guess I just don't like sharing my opinions. Okay, well, you're pretty opinionated on the regs, but all right, I'll take it. Well, why don't you like sharing your opinions? I guess I just feel judged. Okay, well, that's fair. Well, why do you feel judged? Did someone say something to you? No, it's not that. I guess I just feel like I'm not good enough. There. We have a basic truth underlying all the stories I had told myself. I'm not good enough. And now that I knew that basic truth, I could unearth it and make space for something new. Now, hey, it's not as simple as saying, all right, I'm not good enough, I'm just gonna unlearn it and replace it with I am good enough. Boom, mic drop, piece of cake. Well, no, because your brain is gonna call you out on exactly bull and say, Shin, prove it to me. And that takes us to step number 2. Sowing new seeds. Now these new seeds are going to replace the previous truth that you once believed. So they have to be stronger, more robust, and irrefutable. They have to act as proof of why you are in fact good enough. So seed number 1. I say things worth waiting for. Seed number 2. I can convey any message in more ways than one. Seed number 3. I make people laugh. Now these new seeds are going to be extensions of my identity, so I've got to believe them. I've got to own them like they're mine. That means I can't just put them under some soil and hope one day they're going to grow into a seedling. No, I've got to give them nutrition. So that brings us to step number 3, sustaining these seedlings. Now seeds, they need water, sunlight. Well, us humans, we need love. Now we get that from validation because ping, dopamine, right? Now you can get that externally, like from your peers, from your parents, from social media. But I highly recommend against that because you start to become dependent on the source that it's coming from. So instead, let's cultivate some good internal validation, aka self-love. Because you know what's great about self-love? You're in control, and it's unlimited, baby. So, it is your duty then to positively reinforce yourself anytime you do something that supports a seed. For me, whenever I said something of meaning and of impact, and the person on the receiving end understood me, well, I said to myself, good job, Shin. And whenever I tried to say something but I got stuck, and so I paused and I recalibrated and I tried saying it again, I told myself, well, good job, Shin. Now get ready for it. Whenever I cracked a joke and anyone laughed, what did I say? Good job, Shin. We're going to do that one more time just for fun. What did I say? Good job, Shin. Bing! Dopamine, right? And all of that amazing self-love compounding on each other, one on top of the other. It's magical. It's wonderful. Another reference for you. Now, just out of curiosity, with a show of hands, how many of you talk to yourselves out loud? Wow, that's a lot more than I expected. Amazing. Well, I'm going to share a pro tip with you guys. So back then, I didn't have a fancy camera to record myself or like voice memos to say positive messages to myself, so I did this every day. I stood in front of the mirror, threw on a little power pose, looked myself in the eye, and told myself, girl, you amazing. And I know that it sounds so cheesy, but trust me when I say it works. It works so well that I used to get phone calls home of, hello, Miss Sir? Yeah, your daughter is a little bit of a troublemaker. She's becoming too talkative. Imagine that, the girl with the stutter becoming too talkative. Now my parents luckily never gave me a hard time about that. Well, as long as you bring home the grades, right? I actually do want to give my parents a huge shout out because they were the most awesome support system, and they're actually here today, and they're so embarrassed. They're like, please don't pick on us. But I won't make them stand up. But my mom, for always being there to listen whenever I had something to say, even if what I was saying made no sense. And my dad for giving me the same solid piece of advice from day one, which is be yourself. Take notes, parents, because that feedback message works in all scenarios. You don't even have to know what the kid's worried about. You just have to say be yourself. It works. Now, because I had this amazing support system, I was able to thrive in that positive loop of ripping up the weeds, sowing new seeds, and sustaining the seedlings. And I could do it over and over again until it became a virtuous cycle. Now, hey, there's no growth without a challenge, because you get stagnant. So you've got to raise the stakes, and that brings us to the next step, dun, 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 the challenge. So this is a few years after I feel comfortable in my own skin. My school that year decided to throw on their annual play, and it was The Wizard of Oz. So I put my hand up and I said, I want to be the Wicked Witch of the West. They were like, are you sure? No one wants that role. but it's yours if you want it. Silence your phone, kids. I put my hand up and I said, I want to be the Wicked Witch of the West because I had to bring that evil cackle to life. I mean, she's a badass character. So by proving to myself that I can actually do that and succeed at it, well, I just leveled up, right? And over time, I started getting weaker, I started getting more confident, and every time I did stutter, it became less anxiety driving for me, which was a huge win for my mental health. Now, hey, you can ask me, why can't we go straight to the challenge? Why are we spending all this time on the loop if the challenge is so effective? Well, here's what I'll tell you, Sam. I will say that if you go straight to the challenge, you could expose yourself to your fear too fast, too soon. And then you might want to go back into your comfort zone and stay there where it's safe and never want to come out again. So instead, by trusting the process and taking it a step at a time, with controlled exposure to your fear, consistently, keyword, you can get long-term sustainable results. So like today, where I'm literally living my best life as a mindset architect and a learning designer, and P.S. also a visual artist full-time, that's pretty awesome. So here's the last message I'm gonna leave for you today, okay? Fear is natural, it's instinctive. It's meant to be there to signal when danger is near. But when fear goes unchecked, that's when it starts to become the main decision maker. It starts to change who you are. Now I knew I wanted to keep that OG Shin alive, to bring back the swag. So like me, anyone can follow that process and unlearn whatever fear is in their way. Because at the end of the day, guys, we are more than good enough. Thank you.